Double check the audio. Hello. Hello. All right, sounds good. Let me actually plug this up so it doesn't die. There we go. All right. Picking up where we left off. We currently have all of our doors made. We can actually pan the camera over here more to the table saw. And what we're going to be finishing up is actually building the drawerbinet units. And I think what I'm going to do is actually cut them over on the miter saw first to the proper lengths. Night, Mama. So the first thing we're going to do is head over here to the miter saw and cut all the panels to the proper length. Because I have some of this 1/2-inch plywood that I'm planning to use for this build. But we have 2 units that are going to be narrower than the others. So I'm going to cut all these to length. And then I'm going to cut, I have some 3/4-inch MDF on the back wall. I'm going to cut at the length before we head over to the table saw. One thing I do want to do is get a splitter for this hose so I don't have to keep disconnecting my sander and my miter saw. I'll probably actually get a splitter down there too for the plug. It's definitely easy to forget to switch stuff over. All right, and then for these, I need them to be 23 1/4. For those of you who don't know, I don't have a stop block on my miter saw yet. So what I do is pretty much make a mark on my actual piece. And then I just bring a piece of scrap wood right here and I clamp it in place. Works good enough for a temporary fix. I do plan to actually route a T-track and install a tape measure into my miter saw wings. Just haven't happened yet. Probably on one of these upcoming projects. And I need 4 pieces at this length, but they need to be different widths. And then I need my back pieces that are also going to be 23 1/4, and those are going to be 1/2 inch OSB. So I'll cut a couple of those as well before I change up my stop block. Nice to see I got 8 people joining in here. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. After getting nice and fat, I decided I need to come out to my shop and try to be productive. Let's see, and I'm going to need a total of, for each one of these cabinets, please stress wearing proper footwear while working. Oh, yeah, I definitely could be wearing shoes. These are my Invisalign steel toes. Typically inside of my shop, one, because I feel fairly comfortable. I just wear flip-flops. Yeah, can't really say much else about that. I do wear boots when I go to job sites, when I do kitchens and baseboards and cabinet installs and decks and stuff. But when I'm inside of my shop, I've never really dropped anything on my foot. Haven't really got close. So, yeah, I wear flip-flops. Definitely say don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. Let's see, with these panels, I'm building 4 total units. Each one of them need 2 pieces on the back side. They can be varying widths, so I can always rip these again. This is 5. I'll say 2.5 inches would be wide enough for my strip, so I can actually get 2 out of this one. See, 2 out of that one, and this is 8. So I can get 2. And then this is a full 4-foot piece. So I can get 2. So these will be enough for all my back panels. My bird stack is getting pretty tall. It's about time for me to head out to the fire pit tomorrow. That is all the front and back pieces I'm going to need for these cabinets. What I need now is to cut all the shelves, and they need to be 10 7/16 by 8 and 7. The 10 and 7 is the depth. So I can actually rip all that on the table saw before I cut those. So then we're going to switch over to the table saw, rip all these pieces that need to get ripped. Ripped the 3/4 inch plywood, and then I will do, so I'm also going to need a bunch of pieces that are 3.5 inches. So yeah, I'll use we'll switch over to the table saw next. Let's slide the camera back. That should be in the way of the rips. Also, for everybody who's in here now after Thanksgiving, this is what we're working on. These are going to be drawerbinets, or upper cabinet drawers. I believe, before I get too far into it, If you guys were watching earlier today, you guys probably see me working on them, and I believe I started this build probably about 2 weeks ago. These are essentially just upper cabinet drawers. I think Leakin Street Woodworks is the one that I got the idea from. Essentially, by having drawers on your upper cabinets, you can access stuff inside of your cabinets that you typically couldn't reach. Because when this pulls out, this is the full depth of the cabinet, so this would have been all the way in the back of the cabinet, and I wouldn't be able to reach it. They all have access from the sides. The next thing that makes them pretty cool is that these are wooden drawer slides, so I'll bring you guys around to see that. These are wooden full extension drawer slides. I took a combination of two different woodworkers from YouTube's I did. John Heights did the full extension wooden drawer slides. These slots are what allow it to be full extension. And then combining that with the drawerbinet build is how we got this. And then because I was hanging plywood inside the shop, I have a bunch of 1/2-inch OSB. So all of these cabinet boxes are all 1/2-inch OSB. I painted the face of it black, so once the drawers and doors go on, you pretty much don't see any of the OSB, and they look like beautiful cabinets. I'm probably gonna paint the underside black. Oh, can't rotate the camera. Pivot it back. Yeah, I'm probably gonna paint the underside of the cabinet black so you don't see that. And then probably add a section of French cleats on this wall here, similar to what I have on the door. But for now, the goal is to build all of the drawerbinet units, each one of the upper units, which again, I'm using various scraps inside of my shop. So we're gonna mill all this down, build 4 different drawer units. Actually, I already have one made. I'm building 2 more, and then the other 2 are gonna be custom sized. But we're building a total of 4 is the game plan. The last live earlier today before I went inside and ate, we built 3 more doors, so we're good to go on that. We're gonna get 3 units installed today. It's the game plan anyway. And then I'm going to get the sizes for the other 2 in the middle. I still have to mill up all the hardwood for the doors and everything else, lacquer them and stuff. So I'll probably be another video. So let's get back to the table saw and get the camera out of the way. So we have various rips to do. Essentially how each one of those units are made, they have a front panel that's made of 1/2-inch plywood, and then a back panel. What I'm going to do for the back panel, so I'm going to cut these in half and have 2 individual strips. They're going to make up the back of the cabinet. And then there's going to be 2 shelves, a bottom shelf and a middle shelf. The middle shelf is adjustable. I can either raise it up or down. If I have it toward the middle, then the drawerbinet unit is divided in 2. If I bring it further to the top, I have more space at the bottom. Really, I'm just kind of mixing them up so I have more options as I go through those cabinets. So I need to rip these. These need to go to 9 7/8. Only 2 of them, so I'm only going to do 2 for right now. These 2, their dimensions will be different. And then actually, I don't want to rip all the MDF either because the other 2 cabinets are going to be wider. So what I want to do is probably, I'm going to need 2 shelves per cabinet. These are 10 7/16 deep. So what I'm going to do is actually set up 10 7/16 and cut 4 of them on the miter saw. Then we're going to come over to the table saw. Sorry about the back and forth. Trying to think about the best order of operations using the material that I have. And yeah, since I'm only doing 2 of them right now, that plywood will go there. This will sit down here with these other 2 pieces. And then let me grab the 3/4-inch MDF and bring that around here too so we can chop that up. Get it to more usable size pieces. One thing I do love is that I actually have all my measurements written down on the marker board. These shop doors have actually been pretty awesome. So having, does that come up clear? Probably not. But yeah, I can write all my notes. Cut list and whatnot can all go on the back of the marker board. Tell me keep track of projects. I can always just look over my shoulder and see what I need to cut. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so for my shelves, the mid shelves, they need to be 10 to 7/16. I'm going to need 4 of them that can get ripped on the table saw. So I'm going to set up a stop block for 8 to 7/16. So that way I use less of the material this way. It getting ripped this way doesn't really matter. I'll take a bunch of short pieces and then rip them to 10 to 7. Or I can just cut this long for right now. See, 8, 16, 32. So if I just cut this 36 inches for right now, that will give me enough material to make my 4 shelves. And then I can head over to the table saw. So I'd much rather rip all these at the same time versus having to do 4 individual rips on small pieces. Just trying to think about order of operations, the best way to do things. So what I'm going to do, camera needs to be right there. Yeah, so I'm just going to cut this to, again, each one of my pieces need to be about 8 and 7/16 by 10. So I could cut them all to 8 and 7/16 and then do 4 individual rips at 10 and 7. Or I can right now just cut it to 36 inches. I know this will be enough material for all 4 of my shelves. Rip it one time and then set up a stop block. I'd much rather do a bunch of miter saw chops, which I will have to do anyway. Pretty much trying to alleviate extra work. Order of operations. It's really important. Proper planning also, though. If I had thought about this before I went live, I would have known exactly the order of operations for you guys. This will be enough for all of my shelves. And this is 11. I'm also going to need 3.5-inch strips and a total of 4 of them. I can get 3 rips. Yeah, this is one of those material saving questions. So I need pieces that are 3.5 by 10 to 7/16. I could very well cut one of these to 10 to 7/16 and take 3.5-inch rips. This is 11 inches. I'm going to get 3. Then I'm going to have to cut another 10 inches and get, a 3.5-inch rip. Or I can chop this into 3.5, which is 14 inches of material wasted versus 20. So it'll be easier for me to set this to 3.5 inches and cut it that way, right here on the miter saw. So that is what I'm going to do in this case. And it actually is 3 5/8. 3 5/8. And then the best stop block on this miter saw, I bring this down to the blade. That's good. And then I'm going to swing this around to meet it. And that's nice and tight. Now each one of my cuts, as I bring this piece over to butt it, will be 3 5/8. that. That still leaves me 44 inches of material to do my other 2 shelves or 2 drawerbinet units. So now we can head over to the miter saw. Hey, how you doing, Robbie? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was awesome. I got nice and fat. Well, pleasantly plump. I ate good, and now I'm here to try to be semi-productive in the shop. Let's zoom in right there. That should be a good enough angle. All right, these are fine. These just need to get cut to length, which is 10 and 7/16. That gets ripped to 8 and 7, and these will get attached to the side. And actually, slightly different. I am using different materials, so that's something else I need to check. The width of my shelves were determined by the material I was using. I was using 3/4 inch plywood. This is 3/4 inch MDF, which I think is actually 3/4. So this is actually 1.5 inches. My overall front and back panels are going to be 9 7/8. So 9 7/8 minus 1.5 inches is 8 3/8. Math, 8 3/8. Yes, and the other ones I had to cut them to 8 7/16. This will be 8 3/8. So that goes to 8 3/8. These go to 9 7/8. First cut would be the 9 7/8, which would be both of these. They get shrunk down to 9 7. And I, for the most part, can trust the guy. Yeah, that's good. For the most part, I can actually trust the scale on my table saw. To my scrap pile. I just did the math on that. It's 8 3/8. That's one of those reasons why you gotta pay attention. I was supposed to cut this to 10 and 7 and then chop it to the 8 and 7/16. I cut these to 8 and 7/16. I mean the 8 and 3/8. So these are the cut to 10 and 7. This is only 10 of them. I mean 3 of them. I need one more over here on the miter saw. Whoopsie. Definitely pay attention to what you're doing or you make mistakes like that. So I'm going to cut an 8 and 3/8 on the miter saw. Alright, that's that. I got a little ahead of myself. These will be strips. All these will go to 10 and 7/16. Everything is ripped except for these back pieces. Let's see, how do I want to rip these? That's 8, so I'll probably just go 4. This is 5, I'll go 2.5. The reason why I'm doing that is I just noticed that this edge and this edge over here isn't straight. This is straight enough because it just came off the table saw. So when I actually do this, I want the size of this mark to be my outside edges to make sure my box is coming out square. All right, the next thing to do, these are all cut to length. This and these all need to go to 10 and 7/16 along with these. Let's head back over to the miter saw and we'll set up another stop block. And what we need is 10 and 7/16. Hopefully I don't screw that up again. Ten and 7. Actually, let me double check that. That was also based off of the material that I had. The overall drawer binet units need to be a total of 11 and 3/4. And that is minus the thickness of these two. And it looks like we have just over 7/8. Not quite 15/16. Because this is 7/16 plywood and this is 1/2 inch plywood. Plywood is always undersized, but this plywood is thicker than 1/2 inch. So I can't really just measure 2 of these. It's better to measure what your actual front and backs are going to be. So again, this is right over 7/8. The total needs to be 11 and a quarter. 11 and a quarter minus 7/8. 5/8, 3/8. So 10 and 3/8. is what this needs to be. It's 5/8 plus. Yeah, 10 3/8. Not 10 7. It was 10 7 on my other ones because of the materials I was using for the front and back. In this case, these are just more scraps that I have in my shop. Different 1/2 inch plywood. So the front and back are a little bit different. So the overall length of my shelf needs to be a little under. This one is 10 3/8. We might go just a skosh under just to make sure everything goes in flush. So let's actually go 10 5/16. That is the number that we want. 10 5. So we'll set up a stop block at 10 5/16 and cut all of our shelves to that dimension. Right there. Bring that right there. And oh, that's not locked in. Whoopsie. And there we go. Beautiful. Let's see, and then this one is 8 that way, so it goes 10 this way. I need to cut these. Hey, how you doing, Power Surge? Now, if my math is correct, that is all the pieces. I already have one up there. So we have all the pieces we need to actually assemble 3 of the drawerbinet units and then install 3 of them. And then we can hang our last 3 drawer fronts. And for those of you guys who are just joining in, I think last time I described this, I think we're at like 30 people in here. What we're doing is building some upper drawer units. Lincoln Street Woodworks over on YouTube. It's his idea. Well, not even his idea. It's the first person I've seen it. Essentially, by having organizers on your upper cabinets that are pull-out drawers, you can stow stuff. You know, get access to it. And these are also full extension drawer slides. So typically, the problem you have with upper cabinets is you can't reach the stuff all the way in the back. So by having your whole entire cabinet, this is the full depth of the cabinet. This whole thing slides all the way out. So if I had 20-inch cabinets or 24-inch cabinets, you know, I can access the whole entire cabinet without having to reach all the way in there. I can make these various height shelves. There's a second shelf all the way up top. And what makes these special is I also picked up an idea from John Heights. who is pretty awesome. He did and designed these wooden full extension drawer slides. So every single drawer slide on these drawer binet units, I think that makes it look better. It doesn't glare. Each one of these units have a full extension drawer slide like this, mounted into the cabinet. So if you guys don't want to buy drawer slides, I think altogether this is 10 cabinets. It would have been like $200-300 in drawer slides alone. And everything in this build is all from scraps. All the OSB, I had a bunch of full sheets and stuff from hanging the walls and the ceilings and everything else. And every single cabinet here is all from offcuts. You know, little 2x2, 2x3 pieces left over. And I still have like 3 or 4 full sheets that I haven't touched. Ugh. Stowed over there. So again, this was all me using scraps to try to make better use of the space inside of my shop. So all the way from it being 1/2 inch OSB versus like nice sandy ply or something like that, to not even using the full sheets. I didn't have to break down or lose any full sheets in this whole entire build. Everything is just leftover scraps that's been laying around the shop. So I love it. And I think when they're all done, they're going to look amazing. And, you know, leftover mahogany. The doors and everything else are made up of, like, this is a rip from, I think, when I was milling stuff from way back when I did the mahogany door on the channel. And then stuff like this. These are all test pieces from when I was doing the mahogany door. Now I'm just testing my brand on them. This is the mortise and tenon I was testing out when I was building the door. This piece has been sitting around the shop for at least 1.5 years. So I have a scrap bin. This is going to get resawn to give me stiles and rails for these small doors. Also why I made them so small, because I can use small and shorter scrap pieces like this to actually make the stiles and rails. So again, this whole entire build is all about using scraps inside of my shop. I think it's been going pretty good. And one of the things that I think makes this look awesome is I'm not a football fan, nor am I a Falcons fan. But they're black and red, and then the cabinets, the very first thing I built inside of my shop. My dad is a huge Falcons. This whole garage, if you guys don't know, my dad's garage, he's the one that's been letting me use this space and turn it into the shop that it is now. These cabinets were the very first building here. So these cabinets were the first. These are probably going to be some of the last things I get to fit in here, and they all match. And whenever my dad gets to come out here, he gets to see that I'm making stuff that match. I think it's the thing about this team. I think I need to throw some flags and stuff up on the ceiling for him, probably. But I'm about to take a quick leak. Luckily, if you guys didn't catch it, I have a bathroom inside of the shop. But then the next step, I need to actually assemble all the drawer binet units, and then we'll go into actually hanging each one of the units up inside of the cabinet boxes, and then we'll attach the drawer fronts. And I have 69 people watching right now. I do have a question for you guys while I go take this bathroom break. I haven't decided on knobs or handles. Let me know what you guys think. Should I buy knobs? Should I make knobs? Should I go handles? What do you guys think? I'm guessing nobody has an opinion this turkey day. Everybody's probably full and halfway asleep at this point. But I do appreciate you guys from tapping in at least. How much phone battery do I still have? I'm still at 80%. I'm good. Alright. Let me grab a bottle of water out the fridge. I just took a leak. I'm feeling good. And we're going to start assembling all of the actual drawer binet units. I think the best place for the camera in this case is probably back over here. That way you can see most of the bench. Probably over here. I think that's too close. that works better. Grab the air hose. And let's see, I'm going to be using some 1.5 or 1.25 inch. These are 1.5 inch. I have some 1.25 inch. See, 1.25 inch staples. That's the front and back of one unit. This is the extra panel piece. Let me slide that over here. I'm gonna need 2 shelves, 2 of the rails, 2 of the runners, this other piece. All right. Each one of these units are pretty much put together exactly the same. You have your 2 shelves, and each one of your shelves serve a purpose. Your bottom shelf, I typically just add these small runners on them. You don't really have to. You can cut this shelf the complete width of your front and back panel, but because my mid shelf, the one that's actually going to hold my drawer runners, is going to have 2 pieces of 3/4 inch wood on the side of it, I do the same on the bottom, which acts as just a little shelf. All this does is help keep my items from falling directly off of the shelf. Oh, I broke it. That's sad. What you want to make sure of during this process is that you get everything nice and flush, front to back. And again, since everything's cut with a stop block, that's not really an issue. You could use glue in this case. I don't think they're going to need it. Oh, this gun really doesn't like the MDF. Wow. That might be a pain in the ass. I might use my 18 gauge gun, which is right over there, for everything that goes into MDF. Okay, that sunk just fine. Maybe I wasn't pressing hard enough. No, these barely want to sink. I think I might switch to my 18 gauge gun just for everything that sinks into the MDF. I'm going to have to hammer those flush. The next step is these 2 pieces go on the side of this panel. But what I want to do is find the center line of this and the center line of the panel, so when I look down on them, I can line both of those lines up as I tack this in. So this being 3/4 of an inch, should be 3/8, but you have to count in the thickness of your pencil. So whenever you set a gauge like this, go slightly under 3/8. And then you're going to check it from both sides and make sure your pencil line lines up. And that went a little past, so I'll back it off just a little bit. And that's perfect. So we'll put a center line on this side, center line on this side. I'll flip her over, put a center line over here, and a center line on this. And before I reset this, I do have another unit to put together. So I can go and add the center lines to this one as well. There we go. Now the next step, these are 3 5/8 tall. Half of that is 1 3/4, 13/16. Right. So I have a 3 5/8. Math. Oh, that's wrong. Let's see. 1 3/4. People wearing flip flops on home reno shows. It's my biggest pet peeve. Well, I mean, I will say it's a good thing it's not a home reno show. This is a guy in the shop building cabinets on Thanksgiving. But I hope you had a great Thanksgiving there, boss man. It's 1 3/4. A little bit more. And there we go. That's dead center. And again, the reason why I test it from both ends, if the pencil line lines up directly on top of the center, or if this mark lines up on top of this mark when I come from the other end, then I found the center. And once I have the center on both of these, I can then line it up with the panel and then drive in my nails. The point of that is when I actually install this shelf into my actual drawer binet unit, this height, whatever height I put inside of my cabinet, needs to correlate with the actual runners inside of the box. But now that I have the center found out, I'm going to mark these so I don't have to reset the gauge again. Actually, I don't need to go from both sides now that I've confirmed that that's the middle. And I'm going to do it to the unit over here. Up. And then I don't need this set up anymore. I can close that out. And what I will do is not use this. Where's my big square? I'll just use this one. That is so I don't mess with my nails. That's those two. And then what I want for one of these units, I want one of these to be able to hold my table saw, sawzall blades, oscillating blades, all on one side, and on the other side, I want it to hold my various rolls of tape, edge banding, and stuff like that. So after I put in this shelf, I'm probably going to add a divider here. Then have one side for one item, the other side for the other item. Haven't really decided on how tall that needs to be. I have a 10-inch blades, I do have 12-inch blades. So actually, I might make, after I add these to it, make sure that I have at least a 12 or 13-inch clearance from both of these lips. It's probably what I'm going to do. But all right, the gun is set up. These two, did I not mark this one? So I marked that one, didn't mark this one. There we go. That is freaking awesome. Was it live edge, epoxy? What kind of table was it? I have a client now asking me about doing a set of entertainment stand, and I have another client asking me about an epoxy river table, which is pretty exciting. I've only ever done like 2 epoxy projects. Definitely looking forward to getting more into my repertoire. One, because they're like one of the coolest things you can do as a woodworker. That sinks a lot better. And that's centered. I don't know. This MDF just doesn't seem to like my staples. Just a live edge. What kind of wood though? And 10 foot is actually a decent size. What is that, a 6, 8, a 10-seater? Is that a 10-seat person? I think it was oak. Beautiful. Was it a solid slab or did you have to join multiple slabs together? Because, yeah, what is it, 10-foot table? Yeah, that's like a 10-seater, I think, because it's like 2 foot per seat on the side. No, it's not. That's a 12-seating table. It's a nice sized table. That is one thing in my repertoire that I am trying to get more of. Oh, almost did it on the side where I struck my lines. I've done more doors, like end tables, coffee tables, and stuff like that for clients, entertainment stands, bookshelves. I want to do more dining tables. It's definitely something I want to delve more into. Probably because it has the best installation out of any project ever. You know, you come and install it and you leave. Drop in your legs, attach your threaded inserts, and then you're done for the day. It's like the best install that you can possibly wish for. So what I need to do now is switch back to the staple gun. And for the front panel, I'm going to flip this up. Use this to hold this piece up. Then attach the front panel to the bottom shelf. Make sure she's flush across the bottom and along the sides. Throw a staple in here. And then come on this side. And then tack the bottom. That's not going anywhere. And now the next step in this process is to decide where does your second shelf go on your actual drawer unit. Because when you pull the actual drawers themselves out, you have access from the side. You can have a unit that's all the way up here. You can have one down here in the middle. It's really up to you as far as where you place them. You started the table. Oh, I guess it was just a live edge slab though. What kind of legs you put on it though? Because I mean that's a pretty quick turnover from like I guess if you're just flattening the slab, sanding it, and throwing the finish on it. But I guess it really depends on what's going on with the legs, and if you had to like fill any knot holes, and that's always the time-consuming part on the live edge slab is filling in knot holes, doing any type of stabilizations if there's any cracks or anything else. Hey, how you doing, Henrik? Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that in between I have enough room for my biggest blades, which is my miter saw blade at 12 inches. So we're going to go 13 inches. Where's my longer square at? This one will do. 13 inches. That is where the bottom of this needs to rest at. Let me bring that around to the sides. And then what I want to do is flush it up here on the side. And we'll throw one staple in it. It was a farmhouse table. Like with all the half lap legs and everything else. Again, that's a really quick turnaround. Now when it's like, mill up, a slab and then to do all the, like when I think about farmhouse, I'm thinking about the intricate cross bracing and stuff on the legs and all that other good stuff. Like that's a quick turnaround. There we go. And then I have my center line right here that I can then use my square to transfer all the way through the back. That's nice and sturdy. And then from this side, we'll flip it over. This will be the back side of the drawerbinet unit. Again, you won't see the front or the back once we actually install the drawer front. Hey man, definitely glad to see somebody else getting some woodworking projects. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the clients loved it too. Alright, then this needs to be 13 inches from there. Again, projects for your parents still count. I've done numerous for mine. I think my first dining room table, unfortunately, will probably be for my parents. They end up being some of your best customers. Because if you don't believe it, nobody's going to support you like your parents do. Oh, we're back. Is it back up? Awesome. See, I got freaked out. My last like 3 streams actually ended because my phone died like halfway through it. So that was a little annoying. Nice to see that this one's not going to go the same way. Thought I was going to disconnect on me. So we have one of these units built up. And what I'm going to do is probably add a divider in the middle. I did lose like literally everybody that was in here though. But that's fine. Either they'll come back or not. I want to add a divider in here so I can hang saw blades. And on the other side, instead of like dowels or pegs, I might just use screws to hold tape, edge banding rolls. Just kind of have a divided section right here for my various round objects. Then I can hold a good bit of blades on one side. I only need like 3 or 4 inches deep, so I can actually get a good stack of blades up here. So I do want to, because this is going to be the one that does that, I probably want to add a divider in there before I go any further. So I do actually need to cut another piece of MDF. Hopefully I'm not digging too far into my reserves from my last 2. Or do I have any other scraps? I have some 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch plywood, but I don't think they'll hold screws or dowels too well. So we're going to cut a piece that is, we'll call that 15 inches by 10 to 7/16. Just gonna swing this back to the miter saw real quick. We need 15 inches by 10 to 7. Very quickly has this piece of 3/4 inch plywood dwindled. I might only have enough for 1 more of those units. I do have a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood right there, but I don't want to use that. So we're gonna go 15. Swing that out of the way. Here, Pearl. And then it needs to get ripped 10 to 7/16. These 2 are for that. rubber hammer. Let's see. I actually probably should have tried to do this with something lighter, strictly because I don't really want these to be super heavy. Part of me thinks if I just line it up with that 1/2 inch piece of plywood, like this big is more than deep enough to hold. Well, I do have my dado set actually. You know, this on the screw or whatever else, I can stack several blades up here. But I want to be able to actually get my dado set up here, which hangs in the whole entire case. And I want tape on the other side. Excuse me. So this is what I'm trying to contend with. So I can hang just my dado set in here. Probably not. It's not what I want to do, I don't think. So I can probably put my dado set in one of my other drawerbinet units, because it's actually small enough. And just like put a screw. So yeah, my dado set will go on one by itself on the inside. And then I'm just going to stack various blades in here. Instead of having them down by my side, I got to twist out with a knob. And then on this side, should be deep enough for 3 rolls of tape, give or take. And I can do a couple of them going down both sides. That's what I'm thinking. So let me actually get this flush with this plywood, shoot some nails down here, and then I'll take a measurement on the front side. Flush. Ooh. There's that. And now I can use this gauge as a mark on the front, and I'll know that's where the front edge is. So just bring my gun back behind that, roughly 3/8 of an inch, and I should hit material and not miss. Well, let me shoot one staple in the bottom. She made it. Tappy the top. And just like that, a beautiful blade holder, tape holder situation. Debating on how I want to do this. I can always drill and throw some 3/4 inch dowels in there. But then part of me, I do have a couple, there's like some leftover timber lock screws that I can just drive in there, and I might just do that. You know, drive like 4 or 5 of those in there. These are long enough to have a nice rounded head on them, so if I drive it in at an angle, the tape isn't going to fall off. The only question is, do I know where this bit is? Or do I know where one of these are? Where's my bit box? Is this a T30? It will work. Where's my impact? She's right there. I probably should measure this or something. Please, no one judge me too harshly. I'm just going to kind of, that's where the top hole should be. I'm going to put one over here. That's the bottom of that tape. Can I get a third one in here? Yes, I can. So I can actually get 3 in here. I go right there on that hole. You know what? Make this easier on myself. Where did I just put my drill bits? I'm going to pre-drill a hole instead of trying to start a hole with a massive bit. And this last one needs to go. That one's right there. Bottom of the circle. Top of the circle. Bottom of the circle. Top of the circle. That would make them driving in a little bit easier. No, these are too long. Well, not even too long. That's too high if I want the screw. Do I have any shorter? I do have some shorter ones, but I don't have that bit. But I want like a 5-inch screw. For right now, I'm probably just going to drive some in here. Just do the 2 lower holes. Pretty much the one up top is just a little too high for me to be able to angle it. I'll probably figure something else to throw up there. Or rearrange this. This is just some screws, temporary. And again, this is just trying to show off some of the ideas that you can do with this type of organizer. You can really do whatever you want. You know, these can be dowels. You can hold tape up here. You can hold pretty much anything. You can have a tape measure holder, a pencil holder, whatever you want in here. And on this side, I'm just going to hold a bunch of blades. I know I have like a 4-inch. How deep is this? 3-inch. I know I have. This one will do. I don't have any. Where's my T15 bit? That's a T20. T15 must be over there. Yep. So for this one, I probably should grab my 12-inch blade so I can make sure that I have enough room. But we're just going to say somewhere in there should be fine. Then we'll tilt her up just a little bit. That's just past flush. And then I can drop all my blades up there. And I have a couple of them. They all hang down here by my table saw. But the problem with them hanging down here is I have to unscrew them whenever I want to grab one. This will just be me pulling out a drawer that's right here next to the table saw and then grabbing whatever blade I want. Definitely put the most used up front. And just like that, blade holder, hold various things of tape. I think I do have a couple more rolls of edge banding. So when I'm done with it, I can take it, grab some tape, throw some tape on it, and this will be one of the drawerbinet units. I can always throw whatever I want up top. So this will be, again, pull out of the cabinet, access my blades. On the other side, I'll be able to access these. And then, just in case if anybody hasn't been here since the beginning, we're just going to go back. I'm going to show you guys what we're tackling. These are drawerbinet units, essentially pull-out drawers for upper cabinets. So each one of these units, right now, these are kind of just basic shelving. I haven't really added any dividers or even decided what's going to go in each one of the units. But each one, I have access from the side. Typically, on the upper cabinet, you can't reach stuff all the way in the back. Me, I'm obviously like 7'8", so it's not a problem for me. But if reaching stuff in the back of your cabinets happens to be an issue, this is a great build to utilize a lot of dead space that's hard to get access to. And again, if you guys haven't noticed, this whole entire thing is made of scrap OSB. And instead of buying drawer slides, John Heights came up with the idea for full extension drawer slides. I copied his method by routing in these slots in this 1/2-inch plywood. You now have full extension drawer slides made of wood. They can hold a ton of weight. I haven't had any issues with any of them. And then we have beautiful drawer fronts that transforms this whole space into a really nice corner of the shop. I'm about to take another quick leak, let you guys look at these over here, and then we're going to go ahead and assemble the other two units, which won't be as detailed as this one. We're just going to nail them together, and then we're going to go ahead and start installing. I also need some more water. And I need to check the battery on my phone to make sure I'm going to have enough to build these other 2 units and install everything. Because nothing would suck worse than my battery dying on me or the stream cutting out halfway through. Definitely want to get to the fun part, which is actually installing the drawer units. And adding the faces. But for right now, to clear off my bench, I'm going to slide that unit in there. And then what I was saying earlier about the dado set, each one of these units, there's dead space right on the inside. That will probably be where I hang my dado set. Well, this one's too short. Maybe this one. Ooh. All of these too short? I think I made this one taller. Oh, but there's glue in there. Well, what I'll probably do is make one more tall like that one. That's probably what I'll do. And I think the one I just built, I want it to go right here. That way, it's right here next to the table saw, so if I ever need to change a blade, I can come right from here, pull out the unit, grab blades. So that's a good spot from that one. We have 2 more to put together, which will end up going on the right hand side down there. And then we have 2 more units in the middle, being these two. These two, each one of these are banker cabinets. It's a 2-foot banker cabinet, a 2-foot banker cabinet. So I built the outside 4 units, all exactly the same. This middle unit right here that has these 2, it was made custom to fit in between. So that size of all the drawerbinets, the door fronts, all those are a little different. I have to take actual measurements on that and plan that one out. So that probably won't be on stream. Maybe, might do it tomorrow. Don't really have much else to do but assemble all these units and then clean up and organize the garage, because they will definitely help put all this shit somewhere once everything has a place. All right. So I'm probably going to give that one the next one is going to have just enough clearance for the dado set, which is 12 inches. That one was 13. This one's going to have 12-inch clearance. Actually, I'm going to make this one exactly the same as the other one. This one's also going to be 13. That way, when I cut the jig to install the runners, I can use the same jig for 2 different openings. Make it easier on myself. All right, cool. So let's put this one together. I'm going to switch back to the 18 gauge brad nailer. Oh no, my first blowout. One thing about brad nails, if you don't have a set of nail pullers, you can just bend the nail back and forward. They'll definitely break off. And again, anybody who's seen me do this, you can definitely use glue. It wouldn't hurt. I'm just not. That's crazy. 2 blowouts back to back. That's the bottom shelf. This one, if you guys remember, we drew the center line so we can line them up with each other. Then you guys, I think it kind of shows up on camera when it's not glary. Get the glare to stop. Yeah, you guys should be able to see. Stop as soon as my hand goes up. I gotta figure out how to dim the lights. But alright. And we have that center line to line everything up. We also have a center line going down the board. So it's nice and easy to shoot my nails. We line up the center lines on the end. Right now it's not lined up. Line them up, shoot it together, and then follow that line right there. Sometimes layout is a lot of work, but it definitely always pays off. And then just like the other one, lay it directly on top. Flush up your edges and your bottom. And then this time we're going for 13 inches as well. So I want enough room for my dado set to sit up here. So we're going to pull up to 13. And then square across. carry this line all the way around the back so that way I know where I got to shoot at, so we can avoid any more blowouts. That line is where the bottom of this goes. Let's bring it over here to me. And that gives a 13-inch clearance from this lip to this lip. So I want to slide in my dado set and actually have a screw mounted right here to kind of sit my dado set on. I still have the rest of the shelf in here to do whatever I want to do with it. And again, somebody more organized than me will probably have like 5 different designs and plans for each one of these individual units. I probably should make one to hold my spray paint cans. I think before I still have 2 more to do. I'll probably make those for spray paint cans or something. Trying to think what else in the shop I need to stow. And then I can take my square and find that center line that we made earlier for the reference for my nails and transfer that all the way across the back. And not a single blowout. I'm going to flip this over. Take this one. If you guys also remember when we were on the table saw, I said that one of these edges wasn't really perfectly square or straight. I know that this side is factory. This was ripped on the table saw, so I'm going to put this to the outside. So when I line up along the edge, it's straight and it's straight down here. How thick these need to be or how wide these need to be, again, I don't really have a plan for that. I'm just using scraps. So these are like 2.5 inches wide. I just need to have enough area to throw a sufficient number of staples right here. And again, I'm going to look for those little pencil marks I made. I'm going to put the factory side down so we can't have any mistakes. So that way we know that this side is straight and this side is straight. Which is how you make nice and square boxes. So we can flush that up to the edge. Pop one there. Pop 2 right there. And then this needs to be 13 inches. Check this side for 13. And then we have enough room to throw 2 more right there. And this box, I'd say, is plenty strong. And then I can go and hang my dado set right here, and then still have a shelf or whatever, and then a smaller shelf up here. And again, these shelves seem small, but I still have a total of 6 5/8 up there. Is that a drill? Not quite. Not sure what goes on this top shelf, but I'll kind of figure that out as I throw stuff up there. All right. One more to put together. And then we can go into actually hanging each one of the units. So got pushed all the way over. That has the room it needs. There goes my other one. This one's all, well, I did use a piece of MDF right here. Let's see. I don't have a height that I want for this one because those two will be really tall ones. I probably will move that one over so they match. I'll probably make this one match the third one over there. And then the two in the middle, I don't know what's going to go in there yet. Probably make it tall enough for drills and various battery tools just to get those up there. My apron keeps pulling up my shirt. It's getting on my nerves. Alright. Flip that around, flip this over. And just like the last one, we're going to flush up our bottoms and staple these together. Note that this is different 1/2-inch plywood. So this drawer is a slightly different dimension than those over there. Let's see, do I already have a spacer that I can use? What was this spacer for? A little bit taller than that one. This one looks like the spacer for, I think these. So yeah, I'm gonna use this one. I haven't gotten to cutting spacers yet, but these are the actual spacers that I'm going to use to set my runners inside of the cabinet box. So I'm going to use these to set the height on these actual drawer boxes. And to do so, I meant to actually grab let's see, and if I just do it regular, no, I'm going to add the spacers. So what this is going to do, I have the side that I want up marked with an X. So when I actually go inside the actual drawer boxes, I can set this directly on the bottom of the cabinet and mark where my runners go. This cabinet is going to have a 1/4-inch space down at the bottom, so using those spacers, because they're 1/4-inch, they work. And now with that marked, back side. Flush it up with the bottom. Oh, staples. Flip this back up. Throw down my 1/4 inch spacer. 1/4 inch spacers. Grab this board up here. Pencil mark. And pencil mark. So then I flush that up. And just like that, we have another box completed. All right, cool. I don't have any more boxes. The next step is to actually go in and start installing the runners on the actual cabinet boxes. And then I can set the runners inside of the actual cabinet. So let me bring all the units back out here. Let me grab 2, 4, 6, 12 runners. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These are enough runners. Bring these all over to the table, and then I can switch over to my 7/8 inch staples so they don't blow through. I could use my 1/2 inch ones actually, but 7/8 will hold better. Alright, and these were cut to 11 1/4, which is the exact depth of the cabinet. I don't want these to actually be that long. I actually want these to be the length of the box. Or just attach strips. So I think what I'm going to do is take just a blade or so off of all of these. Because these are, again, are the exact depth of the actual cabinet box, and they don't need to be that deep. Screw it, they're fine. There's no need to even do all that. And then let me grab my centering bit and my guide. Alright, these are all the things I need to finish this. The goal is to set up this flush with the front and flush with the bottom here. So I'm going to take the staple gun, and attach that. Beautiful. And then this spacer, which is the exact width of my drawer runners, except it also has a few layers of tape on the top as a spacer. We're going to bring that in, and then we're going to sandwich the next runner directly on top of that. Flush her up to the front. I was about to take that out, but no, we also need to take this, flush it up to the front, and then there's a hole here on the top. Drill a hole on the top. Excuse me. And then rinse and repeat. I feel like I gotta sneeze. And then again, with this perfectly flush to the front, you want to come back, drill a hole at the top. This is one unit ready to go. Let me take all these blades out of here. And yet again, you're going to go flush to the front. Bring in your spacer. That's some plywood sticking out right there. Pull that piece out. Spacer. And then grab another runner. Flush to the front. Drill out the top hole. And again, if you guys do watch the John Heights video, which I heavily recommend you guys do, if you guys are interested in how I do these wooden drawer slides. In that video, he points out that buying some is definitely easier, but there's something about being able to make your own drawer slides that work and function how you want them to. And again, I love wooden drawer slides. I love trying to find a way to make them better than they were before, or finding new ways to, kind of evolve them. And honestly, I think what John Heights did is probably the pinnacle of what you can do with some wooden drawer slides. These work awesome. They hold a ton of weight. But also, like he said in the video, it is a ton of work. You can always go buy yourself a set of drawer slides for whatever project you want. Bless you, boss man. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully you ate well. And boom. That's 2 of the units ready to go in. I'm going to get this one ready. And then I'm going to cut my actual, what's it called? Jig, I guess you can call it a jig. It's going to help me locate the height of all the runners inside the cabinets. And then I'm going to install those, paste wax all these runners real quick, let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we can actually go into the actual install of each one of these drawerbinet units. Then we can go into adding the drawer fronts. And I think that will probably be it for the night. I do have 2 more units to build, some rough mahogany and stuff to mill up and stuff for all the drawer fronts. I don't think I'm making those tonight. It's probably about like 1 o'clock here. My family's all eating. They've all went to sleep. The question is, how long can I make noise in my dad's garage tonight? And I know a lot of people that are sticking in there or came back from earlier today or the other live streams are probably itching to actually see one of these go in. Which the last live stream we were about there, and then my phone died. One downside to using plywood for this versus like hardwood like John did is sometimes the layers may fray or splinter. After I get them installed, I typically would come back and actually sand them a little bit with a 120 grit. But these I did already sand everything. The drawer runners, the drawer slides, everything's already sanded up to 120. Each one of these are already nice and smooth to 120 grit. So they will ride against each other nice and smooth. Nice flush. And there they go. Let's see, in this one, already works for this unit, I believe. Yeah, and then when you raise it up 1/4 inch, this works out. So this one will be the support or the jig that I use to set the runners in one. Let's cut another piece of 1/4 inch plywood to meet these, because these two should be the same height, and they are. So I'm going to cut me a jig that is at that height, which we will go 14. No, it needs to be that height plus 1/4 inch, and yeah, I need to raise it up. So again, take some more 1/4 inch runners, stick them underneath the cabinet box, raise it up, and that is sitting at 14 and 9/16. So I'm going to take a small piece of plywood, the smallest piece I can use. There we go, I'm barely cutting any off of this one. $14 and $9. And we'll cut that on the miter saw. Beautiful. So I can use that to set the runners inside the cabinet box. So let's go ahead and get the two on the outside, and that will do the one on the inside. So let's head over here to the actual cabinet boxes. I'm going to take another quick bathroom break because I have drunk quite a bit of water today. Let's see, we done hit the 2-hour live stream mark. That's pretty cool. It's about the longest I've streamed so far. Oh no, I think I did have one 3-hour stream. I'm gonna bring the nail gun over here. We're gonna need the nail gun, our spacers. Let's see, that one's going to be this one. So that's this one, that one, and this one. And then let me grab the drill bit. Let's see, can I get you guys any closer? Almost so I can get you guys like actually inside the cabinet. Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving. God bless you all. How you doing, boss man? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving as well. Hopefully you're nice and full today. Hopefully you spent it with lots of friends and family. Let's see, where's my battery at? I'm at 42%. I should be good. Let's see, is this closer? Is that better for you guys? That should be good. Hopefully my body is not in the way too much. but I think that's a better angle for you guys. Let me see if I can even kick up a little bit more light for you. This might look bad. That barely helps, so we're gonna turn that off. All right, I do need some more 7/8 inch staples for all the runners. Alright, this part's pretty easy because again I have the jigs and the setups that I need to make it repetitive. See, I'm going to need 2 more. And again, I have all the runners, all the drawer slides. They're all completely made up for each one of these. So it's really just me deciding on what I want each one of these drawer bonnets to actually look like as far as how I want the inside to work out. But let's see, am I completely in the way? Yes, I am. Is there a way I can get you guys like right off on the side? I might still be completely in the way. We'll see. And then let me move the air hose from around the camera so I don't knock it over. All right. Can't quite see what you guys see from here. Standing on my drawer. Now y'all can kind of see. So inside the cabinet, I actually have my spacer. We use this to actually set the runners on the actual drawer bonnet unit. So by flushing this up to the bottom of the cabinet, taking one of my runners, buttoning it up flush directly to the top of it, nice and tight, I can come back and shoot that in. And I can move over to the other side and then do the same thing. Same spacer with the tape on the top side. All that's going to do is give my actual drawer runners a little bit of a margin to slide it in and out. These are the exact same width. This has 3 layers of tape on top. And then on the drawer units, I drilled the top hole. On the actual cabinet portion, I bring it in there, I butt it up flush to the back, and then I'm going to drill the bottom hole. And then the other two are going to have the taller units. So we grab this other panel, and then we're going to rinse and repeat for these other two units. Grab two runners, flush them up to the back. Throw this in the trash can. Beautiful. And again, glue throughout this entire process is definitely optional. The one reason why I'm not using glue is because John Heights, when he came up with this design to make these runners, they're completely replaceable with standard half-inch drawer runners. So if I ever want to change these out for metal drawer slides, I can, just by popping this off the inside of the cabinet and removing the runners from my actual drawer binets. So I don't have to remake the drawer binets. I don't have to go through any of that process. It will just be changing out the drawer slides. Which is, again, another genius step from John. I wouldn't have thought to make these interchangeable, but I am so glad that he did, because that's genius. It's one of the best parts about being a maker, being able to be creative and solve problems. And then I'm going to drill the hole on the bottom. And now we just need to do this last one over there. And then I'll come back and paste wax all these, and then we can slide in each one of the units and then add all the drawer faces. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, boss man? I greatly appreciate you chiming in the chat. Definitely helps out a lot. I appreciate all the support. And again, boss man, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving today. Hope you ate plenty. Let's tilt the camera back level. I think for this one, probably be better if your guys are behind me. Over here somewhere. And then, yeah, the last thing we're going to do will be smear all this up with some paste wax. So when I actually go to install everything, everything slides nice and smooth. Ooh. All right, and this one gets this piece of plywood. And again, if you guys see any plywood fray up, definitely peel that off. And then we're going to come back and drill again the hole at the bottom. And now I'm going to zoom you guys out. And I'm going to come back and run paste wax in all of these. And then we can actually go into the installation of our 3 drawer bonnet units. I will say, I'm amazed. I have, 44 people in here right now? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I love to see it. I should be back far enough. Let me grab the paste wax. Dang, that makes me feel good. I really appreciate that I can teach you something. I will say I've been cutting back on my smoking. No promises. No saying that I've completely cut back on cigarettes, or cut out cigarettes, but I have cut back quite a bit. Where did I put my paste wax? Over there. No, that's my stain. I have a brand new jar of paste wax. Here it is. It's 12:50. You're in Minnesota. I don't even know what time it actually is here. It's 1:51 right now. I'm in VA. I'm actually about to break my stream record. Hit my first 3-hour full stream. I think that's pretty satisfying. And yes, paste wax on any wooden drawer slide, I would say, is almost mandatory. You want to lube up your slides and everywhere that's going to make direct wood contact. Everywhere that wood is going to slide. The bottom sides of the runners, the face of the runners. My drawer slides, these have already been waxed, but I'm going to wax them again before they go in. The sides of the OSB, all of that. You want everything to slide as slick as can be. And then on these, the actual runners, I'm going to hit the face. Both faces, because one face is going to rub against the drawer unit. One face is going to rub against the inside of the cabinet. And then these edges are going to ride against all of your runners. So these need to get waxed all the way around. And then there'll be 2 per cabinet or 2 per drawer. If I had something super heavy, I can definitely double them up and have 2 top and bottom. I don't think any of these are going to exceed the weight, So if I see that any of them tip or sag, I can always just add standard wooden runners inside to help support it and keep it from tipping. But we will see. So I think that one is going to hold all the blades. Might be my heaviest one so far. Another thing that would help these slide really good, I know John Heights did it. I'm not dedicated enough to go that far. He actually applied like 4 coats of water-based polyurethane and sanded in between each coat. You know, doing that, then hitting it with like a wet sand or a polish at the end would give you a really smooth sliding slide. But yeah, multiple coats of like a lacquer or a poly was not in the vision for me. And again, a ton of wax. You want these to slide really good. And hopefully by the time I hit all the units and all the runners, it would have been like 10 minutes on these, so I can kind of just circle all the way back around and not really have you guys waiting for the paste wax to settle up before it gets buffed off. Alright, now let me move over and actually hit those runners right there. Whoop. Hey man, I greatly appreciate it. Every subscription counts. We are currently on our road to monetization. I think we have over 2,000 subscribers. We're aiming for watch hours at this point. Watch hours or shorts views. But I greatly appreciate it. And I'm glad I can actually help and or teach. That's actually the goal of the channel. One thing I will say is kind of my fault. I've been working on, and that's kind of why I like doing the live streams almost more than my actual videos. Because one, if I'm doing something and not explaining it clearly, you guys can directly ask me and I can explain better. Because I definitely want to teach. I just am terrible at the whole video editing, YouTube, social media aspect of it. I make a lot of really cool stuff. I just can't convey it as cool as some of the big time YouTubers can. I think the time and effort that goes into editing is like well beyond my skill set. I'm really good with nails and wood. Put me in front of a computer and I can barely make you a PowerPoint. Again, definitely why I like the live streams. So I can, one, meet and talk to everybody who's actually subscribed to me, hopefully. And hopefully put out some better content for you guys. Alright, those are paste wax that needs to sit for about 10 or 15 minutes before we buff those off. We're going to paste wax all the boxes. You're perfectly fine. Thank you, man. Again, I greatly appreciate it. I'm getting better. I will say my newer videos are definitely better than my older ones. One thing I can say is that like on YouTube, because of how I produce my content, I try to post every day. So my Instagram and TikTok, they are far ahead of my YouTube channel. I think currently right now on TikTok and Instagram, we are starting to build these units. And I think on my YouTube channel, we just finished those end tables. I built a set of mahogany end tables, and that's what I'm doing on YouTube right now. YouTube is probably roughly maybe 2 months behind Instagram and TikTok, but Instagram and TikTok are only getting my short content. On YouTube is where I go live. I do all my long format content, etc. So I try to get people to go watch both. You know, the Instagram and YouTube, Instagram and TikTok is really just like, hey, if you want to see any of my content before it actually gets professionally edited and turned into long format content, check out my Instagram, my Instagram or TikTok. YouTube is where you guys will get the most information and be able to catch me go live like today. I've only gone live, I think, like 6 or 7 times, though. Something I'm planning to do more often, especially when I'm in the shop. And, like, I've already filmed all the footage I need for the drawer binet build. So, like, the first 5 cabinets, I had filmed me building all those. I don't need to film me building all 10. So what I decided was, since YouTube is not going to see these for quite a while, let me do some live streams, show off the build, because I'm going to be in here building them anyway. That's kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to use the live streams for. Pretty much once I film content, if YouTube's severely far behind, go live and show that content to YouTube early is what I'm thinking, is how I'm going to kind of run that. I should have checked the time after I got off up there, but I'm probably going to have need to let this sit for a little bit before I come back and buff all this off. But we're almost at the finish line. Once everything is paste waxed, these go in pretty easy. And the attaching of the drawer fronts, that's not too complicated. I already paste waxed that side, I did. Hey, how you doing, boss? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate you for joining into the chat. And since you're just joining in, you probably have no idea what I'm doing. We are building custom drawer binet units. If you're seeing Lincoln Street over on YouTube, Lincoln Street Woodworks, it's an idea that I've seen him come up with. I've seen a few of the YouTubers do something similar, but essentially these are just drawer units for your upper cabinets. Typically on your upper cabinets, you don't really have the ability to reach stuff all the way to the back of your cabinet. So by having pull-out drawers in your upper cabinet section, you're able to reach stuff in the back. You can do various organizers like I have here. This one is an open section of shelves. But this one is going to hold saw blades. So I can grab my various saw blades. And then over on this side, going to hold various tape. I need to retape that. Tape, edge banding, etc. is all going to still right here. And this is going to be in one of the drawer units that I can then pull out of the cabinet and have access to everything in here. There's an additional shelf up top for me to throw whatever. Each one of these are not the exact same height. Like this one is shorter than that one. So there's, smaller items. I can fit more on top. This kind of flexibility. This is just going to be for the bank of cabinets over here inside of my shop. Again, all made of scrap 1/2-inch OSB. I recently hung plywood on the walls and on the ceilings inside of my shop. So pretty much instead of tossing all the small offcuts, the 2x3s and 2x4 pieces that, you can't really do anything with OSB. It's not really a project, scrap material that you guys can turn and, make anything nice out of. So I decided, instead of tossing all the 1/2-inch OSB, better for me to turn them into cabinets. And with how I'm building them, the drawer completely takes up the face of the cabinet, so you don't even see the OSB. I went and painted all the edges black. The doors lip over pretty much, I think, 1/4 inch on each side, so it leaves you about 3/16 of OSB exposed when you close the drawers. But when you pull them out, you have access to whatever is stored inside. I'm standing in front of them, so I can't see it. But again, I step off to the side and I can see the contents or whatever's in these. One thing I do wish is that I made these like 24, 25 inches. These are 13 or 12. Strictly because I have a center block stem wall over here to my left. And I didn't want to have to, if these went out further, you'll see the side of the cabinet from the left. I didn't want to have to deal with my whole goal was to make these look pretty. So if these went out deeper, you would see OSB from this side. I'm going to paint the underside black, then add French cleats all along here. So this wall will look nice, be extremely functional, and gives me something to do with all the scraps that I had inside of my shop. And another thing, I haven't seen anybody else on YouTube or anywhere else talk about it. So I've been using 1/2-inch OSB French cleats on my doors back here for probably about 2.5 years. Most people say you can't use 1/2-inch plywood for French cleats. They have actually been holding up really fine on this door. I painted them black because, OSB isn't the prettiest. So I'm probably going to do the same thing here. Long strips of black OSB French cleats to kind of utilize that wall a little bit better. And then just to show that 1/2-inch OSB works fine for French cleats, these are most of my clamps. And they're holding, 4 or 5 parallel clamps. And they're all, again, French cleated on this door. Nothing gets pulled off. None of the French cleats are broken or frayed or snapped or anything. So that's going to be what I do on that wall over there. I need to let this paste wax dry. I'm about to wash my hands off so I'm not tracking paste wax all around the shop. Let me grab the top for it. And then we can buff off drawer glides and guides and then install all 3 of these units where they need to go. And I have drunk a ton of water. It's like my 3rd leak this stream. I might need to take another one. Again, another one of the amazing benefits of the shop. If you guys haven't gotten the tour, I'm way up here. I have a sink, and then there's a bathroom like right here in front of me as well. That might be something to do while I'm waiting for the paste wax to dry up. Probably take the camera and pan around the shop. I think again, a lot of people did not see the shop tour that I put out. Whew. All right. So we're gonna let the paste wax dry up. I think I will give you guys a quick tour around the shop just to show you guys some of the additions, changes. Some of you guys who haven't been in here at all. We're gonna start up here at the front. Not too much work goes on up here. It started off with 1 recliner and then slowly grew to 3. And now we were cleaning out a section inside the house, so more junk has come out here. These are my 2 benches. These are Polk style benches. I did add a couple different features to them. One of them is the expansion of the bench. It goes from, I think, like a 5-foot bench to about 6, roughly. I think it's like 55 inches when it's closed and goes about 72 when you pull out both sides. This is my smaller one. Both these benches have an adjustable height. They use a jack that's actually mounted underneath the bench. It's not a good spot. It uses a jack that is mounted underneath the bench to actually raise and lower. So these benches up here can be adjusted to the height of any one of my tools that work as outfeed, drill press, bandsaw, my ultimate material cart bench. This bench holds scrap wood. I have various bends on the side, of various lengths, so 6 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. On the back side is a deeper channel that's 49 inches tall, so I can slide full sheets of plywood back there. And there's a few more bends up there, but then also it serves as a complete bench. It has bench dogs along the front, along the top, pegboard along the face to hold all my chargers and stuff. Hand tool bench in the back. Actually, before I walk all the way back there, this is my outfeed table. This is a 4 by 6 foot outfeed table. Bench dogs drilled all across the top, drawers and everything else on the face. Table saw. It's a Delta 3672 something. Can't remember the exact model number. I have the Makita 12-inch miter saw on one of those April Wilkinson style miter saw carts. The wings and everything else fold in and out. Oop, can't quite see it. Again, if you guys do watch my channel, you'll probably notice that everything that I do, I try to take ideas and inspiration from other YouTubers and take it to the next level. So everybody on YouTube has one of these folding miter saw carts, and they're pretty awesome. It allows you to cut wood. It folds down. It's nice and compact, so you can store it away, tuck it away in the corner. But the biggest benefit, I think, to this bench that I added, just like my Palk style bench up front, is the ability to expand the wings. I think that's the full length. So that pretty much doubles the length of your miter saw wings. So if you want to cut boards, I think it's up to like 12.5 foot. You can rest it on the saw. It doesn't tip or lift up because it has all the support it needs all the way out here. So when I ride in my stop block, this will be able to expand the cut capacity of my stop block. I have a radial arm saw tucked away back there that I don't know how to fix. Eventually, probably will. And then coming around here, we have the hand tool bench with the sliding dead man. That's probably one of the most recent builds on the channel. I showed you guys how to build that. All out of some 2x12s. Recently got a jointer, and I built a low profile mobile cart, essentially keeping the jointer as close to the ground as you possibly can. And then the most recent addition, being I have all the lights, is the organization of my back room. Right now, it's just housing my dust collector, one of my dad's old welders, and exercise bike and my air compressor. What I plan to do is mount this dust collector up on the wall, and then that whole section, that corner where the dust collector and the welder are, plan to put a CNC laser engraver and a 3D printer. And then I think the shop will be complete. It's not really much else I can add other than wall cabinets, which is kind of what I'm in the process of doing now. So I kind of have all the tools that I need. The last thing on my list is organization and storage to keep all my benches clear when I'm actively out here working. Because no matter how many benches I seem to have inside the shop, it's nearly impossible for me to keep them clean. Actually, I think I'm going to start buffing the cabinets first, then get to these. I think it's, what time is it now? It's probably been about 10 or 15 minutes at this point. It's been about 13. So yeah, I'm about to go ahead and buff out all the paste wax on the actual cabinets, and then we're going to mount in the door binet units. Yeah, it's been long enough. Where's my battery at? 22%. Alright, so yeah, definitely got to hurry up, so I would like to be able to get these mounted and drawer fronts on them before my phone dies and the stream ends. Hopefully I can end the stream on purpose versus just the phone dying on me. After you paste wax something, all you have to do is come back with a clean rag, and you want to buff it off until all the wax and residue is removed. And that will leave you with a super slick surface, which in this case is exactly what we want. I'll probably have to take these out maybe like every 5-6 months, depending on how much sawdust I have caked up here. Or I might be able to hit them with like a silicone lube to keep them sliding nice and smooth. We'll see how often they have to get waxed. It probably would depend on how much sawdust is getting down into the cabinets, which these drawer fronts should alleviate. Made it. That's also one of the beauties of making videos. Stuff like this, I can speed up times like 20. You guys don't have to see me physically buff out all of these. Makes me feel better too when I go back and watch it. I forget about how many hours or time I spend sanding, buffing, and doing all the tedious stuff. But it will be all worth it in just a moment. Alright, buff out those two, then buff the cabinet boxes, and then we are ready for installation. I do have 2 more of these to do. I might try to string them tomorrow. I think I can build 2 from scratch, start to finish, before my phone dies. It looks like max I'm gonna get like a 3-hour stream before my phone dies. So I might try to stream and build these last 2, including the drawer fronts and everything, tomorrow. Probably do it in the middle of the day so it's not super late. go buff those cabinet boxes. Definitely want to hurry up before the phone dies. Oh, at the very least, I want to get one drawer front on one. I think I can do that. All right. Now let's install these. They go in pretty easy. I think down here is the best angle, even though it's further away. I wish I can zoom in. Impact 1-inch screws. And all of my holes are already drilled. So the first thing you want to do, if you guys remember, we used our template to actually drill that hole at the bottom. Each one of these drawer runners, they have a slot at the top. Back up and go this way. There's a slot at the top, and then there's a slot at the bottom. This one has a countersink on this side. There's no countersink over here for the screw. The countersink is on the other side. So what you want is, inside the cabinet box, you want the routed slot on the bottom. So that way you can actually drive in your screw. So I'm gonna come in here, slide it in place, and my hole that I've already drilled is right there. Driving that screw to where it's just, I'll back it out just a little bit. That's too loose. Pretty much what that screw is going to do is stop it from being able to pull out far enough to fall off of that bottom runner and lets it slide out halfway. Where's the hole at? Right there. There we go. You know, I almost wish I had a GoPro. I think that would be the perfect way to film some of the stuff that I try to film, because then I can get up close. You guys can see what I see. Beautiful. And now with that set, all you need to do is grab two of these runners set them in here. Pull out the slide. And then grab your actual drawerbinet unit. And if you remember on these ones, we drilled the hole at the top. And you can see that lines up nicely. I hate when they mis-stamp screws. And that's all the way to the back side of the drawer. Now on to the next one. And again, they go up pretty easy. The hard part is really deciding the heights and building the boxes and making all the actual drawer runners. After you have that part done, the rest of it's pretty easy. You slide your guides over your supports. There you go. Let's loosen that screw on the other side. Yeah, that Something's biting. It's not one of those screws. It's actually one of the original screws. So I can actually come in here and just loosen that a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. All right, one more. It's really crucial that you don't tighten screws down too tight. You want to have the room and the ability to slide in and out. All right, now just the last one. And then we can drop on drawer faces. Whew.